When I was a teenager, a long time ago, I recall that the church's teaching on heaven troubled my mother. She had heard Jesus' response in the Gospel of Matthew about the woman who had been married 7 times. Hoping to trip Jesus up, the Pharisees had asked Jesus, "At the resurrection, whose wife will she be?" Jesus said to them in reply, "You are misled because you do not know the Scriptures or the power of God. At the resurrection, they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are like angels in heaven." Mom was worried. If I won't have a husband in heaven, she thought, maybe I won't even know him, or my parents, or my children. Mom didn't understand what Jesus was saying. It is not an easy lesson, but it is beautiful. Jesus tells us that marriage has a purpose that is revealed in the Scriptures. He is in fact talking about today's first reading. This one, at last, is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. This, at last, is the Bible's great proclamation of the meaning of human sexuality. There is both a fundamental equality and a fundamental difference between men and women. In dignity, man and woman are equal. They are both equally made in the image of God. Maleness and femaleness is part of creation, part of God's handiwork, part of God's plan. Alike in dignity, different in everything else, man and woman complement each other. Delight in both the sameness of Eve and in her difference from him are contained in that joyful shout of Adam, "At last." We are to understand that the woman too rejoiced with delight in the sameness and in the difference of the man who stood before her, and in the way she would need him. Here at last is someone who can tell me who I am. That delight in each other, that sameness in dignity but difference in personhood, is the way par excellence that the human couple bears the image of God, who is 3 different persons in one. Human love, especially sexual love, points towards its origin in God. That's why we leave our father and mother, seeking a greater security and strength in our spouse. The message is that all of us are incomplete. Even those who have a spouse remain needy. A married couple is united by God to point those 2 people towards perfect unity, towards the fulfillment of life in heaven. Then we will need nothing. For now, you who are married get a foretaste of heaven here on earth, but it's only a foretaste. We should adjust our expectations of marriage accordingly. When we stand in the light of God himself, we will need nothing to point us to him who is love itself. And of course, we will know each other through Jesus, with Jesus, and in Jesus. Many years ago, the Catholic bishops in the United States designated October as Respect Life Month and named the first Sunday of October Respect Life Sunday. Throughout October, Catholics are called in a special way to reflect on the gift of human life and on how we can protect the dignity of all persons, from conception to natural death. The foundation for that, as I see it, is to ask the Lord for a deeper sense of how my own life and everything about me has been a gift for which I must give thanks. As we do this, let us remember the unborn and those at the end of life. We also consider others on the peripheries, immigrants and the poor. Let us pray for all whose life is threatened. Let us pray for strength and inspiration for those on the front lines of the struggle. And let us pray for healing and peace for those who have suffered in the culture wars around these issues.